respect for your time, we want to go ahead and get started because the movie is an hour long and we really want to spend the remainder of the time that we reserve to discuss. Because we don't want to stop here. This is just a point of reference for us. My name is Benicia Johnson. I'm the founder and chairperson of CASE, Citizens Advocating for Social Equity. CASE is a social welfare organization. Pretty much our goal is to be the voice for the voiceless. We work to give political capital to the underdog. We work to engage political leaders in the issues that affect our communities most vulnerable. We are a political organization. We're organized as a 501c4. Very excited about that. And we're also a membership association. So of course, if you're interested in doing the work that we're doing in the community, don't hesitate to reach out to any of these ladies that are wearing the CASE shirts. They represent the board of directors of CASE. Right now, we are a female-led organization, not by intention. He said, no. We have wonderful guys supporting us. So we welcome any of you to join our efforts. We do have CASE Youth as well that are engaged with us, and we do a lot of work. Right, historically, we have focused on public education, meaning people in the community know us in our work to address truancy, school discipline, the school-to-prison pipeline. CPS knows me, I'm a household name when it comes to child welfare issues. We're working right now with mental health, our state legislatures, healthcare, but the topic that brought us here today is very different to our platform. What we did was we held a forum, February 25th. We invited all the HD 26, 27 candidates, Ron Reynolds, Steve Brown, Angelique Bartholomew, and Chris Henderson to the table to talk about economic opportunities and equitable development in Fort Bend County, but specifically in Missouri City. We wanted to hear from them because we knew that we had a lot to learn, and we were discussing as leaders whether or not we wanted to take this on. But when we left there, it was resoundingly clear to us that we needed to take this on. So what we've done since that forum is we pushed the agenda. If you look at who ran for city council, who ran for any county positions, you saw hashtag economic opportunities. That didn't happen by chance. We pushed the agenda. I would say almost everyone had it. And we're not party specific by any means. All of us represent different parties, but at the end of the day, we care about the most vulnerable amongst us. Okay? So today, we're going to be launching the Black Wall Street Initiative. We believe that Missouri City has all of the ingredients to resurrect this iconic time in our nation's history. Missouri City is on the map as being a black majority city. It's on the map as having a median income in the 80,000 category plus. It's on the map as being one of the safest cities in the nation. It's on the map, you guys. We can do this right here. We're also hearing that Atlanta is a close second to compete with us to resurrect this initiative, but I'm wholeheartedly believing that not only we can do it first, but we can do it best. So that's one of the motivations that we have to launch this particular film, to figure out what happened. Because before we move forward, we have to understand the past, right? So I'm going to bring Regina Gardner up. She's one of our lead project leaders on this initiative to talk about what inspired her work.
Hello, everybody. Hello. My name is Regina Gardner, and I'm a member of CASE. What inspired me? Well, actually, I moved to Missouri City when I was about 11 years old, and I attended Missouri City Middle School. I also graduated from Woodward High School. I lived in Missouri City at a time, I would say it was the heyday of Missouri City. And so I've seen how the city has actually declined. And, you know, once I became an empty nester, I had to kind of search my soul and find my purpose, and I decided to go back to graduate school and pursue a degree in social work. And I wanted to pursue a degree in social work because it would give me the tools that I would need to do community development work. And so, if anybody knows, when you go back to school to work on your master's, you have to do a lot of research. And so, as a part of my research, what I found was that there are two things, okay? One thing is that every group, every community has a stratification, meaning there's a lower rung, there's the middle rung, which consists of like the worker bee, the people, those are the people that go to work, come home, feed the kids, they might have a family get together on Saturday, go to church on Sunday, and turn right back around on Monday and go to work. Okay, they don't really have an aspiration to be involved in a lot of civic activity. And then there's the upper rung, which is the I call them the leadership of the community, and that group consists of business owners, lawyers, doctors, politicians, people who want to be leaders in civic organizations. Okay, and what I found was that in the Asian community, it's that way. In the Hispanic community, it's that way. In the African community, it's that way. In the East Indian community, it's that way. And even in the African American community, it is that way. The only difference is there is a void in the higher echelon ring in our community. Okay, so the black leadership, okay, is not picking up the banner or taking the baton. When you compare that to other communities, they have a tradition and they feel even an obligation and a responsibility to the middle rung of people and the lower rung of people to make sure that those people have their needs met. For example, I have a professor, Hispanic lady. She's a multi-million-dollar grant writer, okay? She has a partnership with neighborhood centers. And I don't know if you guys know that, like over there off Gulfton and that Hillcroft and 59, they just built a multi-million-dollar facility over there, Ripley Center, okay? And it's a beautiful facility. That as a part of my class project, I had to sign up and be a volunteer, and I worked over there, and I saw how they were out there serving their people. And I was just like amazed. And I just feel that one of the issues is that top rung in our group, we dropped the ball. And we don't look out for our people to make sure that there's a path for those who don't know. And you know, the leadership, we were given a gift to start with, and then we run away and we become diverse and we forget about home. All right, the second thing is that, the thing that I find is that our pre-civil rights behavior and our post-civil rights behavior is very different. And there's some issues there, okay? Pre-civil rights behavior, there was a lot of communal living together, okay? When you live like this, there are some protections that come along with that, okay? You can support your neighbor, you can support your fellow man. There's a brotherhood, there's a sisterhood, there's a feeling that, well, if I'm not doing just so good right now, then my neighbor can come and help me make it through this, okay? So there's a feeling of, like I said, support and just a feeling that someone has your back, as opposed to our behavior since the civil rights. Everybody's dispersed. You know, it's like the upper echelon ring really abandoned the community. And we went out amongst everybody in general. I mean, we didn't know. This is not a blame thing. This is not a blame. All of this is a process, okay? Because we are people who have been traumatized and we've been through a lot over the years. And everything that we're doing right now, we're trailblazing because this has never been done before. You know, so But what happened is now that we're spread out, okay, there's no protection, okay? You're isolated. It's you over here and you over here and you over here and you over here. And we see that in the statistics. Because when you look at the disparities, the school to prison pipeline is a great example of that. Because when you have blacks who live out in diverse communities, a lot of times it's our children that are penalized more severely than the other groups. So that is the reason for this showing tonight. There's a lot of people who feel like it can't be done. They feel like this situation is so bad that it can't be done. Oh, well, you know how black people can be. You know how they, they might know, I don't know if they'll come together, okay? But what we have to understand is that there's infighting in every group. You know, those other groups are not perfect. They have their own foibles just like we do. The only thing is you keep going until you find that one that you can partner with. Or you keep looking until you find that black business that is dependable, okay? We cannot give up on our people. Because when we give up on our people, we give up on ourselves, okay? And so the resurrection of Black Wall Street, we want to show this film because we want to let people know that this is not pie in the sky. This is not a dream that we just pulled out of some hat. This is real, okay? These people were 50 years out of slavery, and this is what they built, okay? So once we're done with this, we want to use this as a call to action. There's a call to action sign-up sheet. When we're done with everything, please, if you have a commitment in your heart and you want to be committed to a mission such as this, please sign your name to the list. Thank you and enjoy the movie.
Most vulnerable people that have been forgotten. That was just an awesome reminder, and I am encouraged to work harder despite the adversity. I know what it's like, to be locked out and shut down, but we have to stay committed to the cause, and so that's what I feel. I probably know everybody.
My name is Regina Gardner, and I'm a member of CASE. What inspired me? Well, actually, I moved to Missouri City when I was about 11 years old, and I attended Missouri City Middle School. I also graduated from Woolridge High School. I lived in Missouri City at a time, I would say it was the heyday of Missouri City. And so, I've seen how the city has actually declined. And, once I became an empty nester, I had to kind of search my soul and find my purpose, and I decided to go back to graduate school and pursue a degree in social work. And I wanted to pursue a degree in social work because it would give me the tools that I would need to do community development work. And so, if anybody knows, when you go back to school to work on your master's, you have to do a lot of research. And so as a part of my research, what I found was that there are two things, okay? One thing is that every group, every community has a stratification, meaning there's a lower rung, there's the middle rung, which consists of like the worker bees, the people, those are people that go to work, come home, feed the kids, they might have a family get together on Saturday, go to church on Sunday, and turn right back around on Monday and go to work, okay? They don't really have an aspiration to be involved in a lot of civic activity. And then there's the upper rung, which is I call them the leadership of the community. And that group consists of business owners, lawyers, doctors, politicians, people who want to be leaders in civic organizations. Okay, and what I found was that in the Asian community, it's that way. In the Hispanic community, it's that way. In the African community, it's that way. In the East Indian community, it's that way. And even in the African American community, it is that way. The only difference is there is a void in the higher echelon ring in our community. Okay, so the black leadership, okay, is not picking up the banner or taking the baton. When you compare that to other communities, they have a tradition and they feel even an obligation and a responsibility to the middle rung of people and the lower rung of people to make sure that those people have their needs met. For example, I have a professor, Hispanic lady. She's a multi-million-dollar grant writer, okay? She has a partnership with neighborhood centers. And I don't know if you guys know that, like over there off Gulfton and is that Hillcroft and 59, they just built a multi-million-dollar facility over there, Ripley Center, okay? And it's a beautiful facility. They, as a part of my class project, I had to sign up and be a volunteer, and I worked over there and I saw how they were out there serving their people. And I was just like amazed. And I just feel that one of the issues is that top rung in our group, we've dropped the ball. And we don't look out for our people to make sure that there's a path for those who don't know. And you know, the leadership, we were given a gift to start with, and then we run away and we become diverse and we forget about home. All right, the second thing is that the thing that I find is that our pre-civil rights behavior and our post-civil rights behavior is very different, and there's some issues there. Okay, pre-civil rights behavior, there was a lot of communal living together. Okay, when you live like this, there's some protections that come along with that. Okay, you can support your neighbor, you can support your fellow man. There's a brotherhood, there's a sisterhood. There's a feeling that, well, if I'm not doing just so good right now, then my neighbor can come and help me make it through this, okay? So there's a feeling of, like I said, support and just a feeling that someone has your back, as opposed to our behavior since the civil rights. Everybody's dispersed. You know, it's like the upper echelon ring really abandoned the community, and we went out amongst everybody in general. I mean, we didn't know. This is not a blame thing. This is not a blame. All of this is a process, okay? Because we are people who have been traumatized, and we've been through a lot over the years. And everything that we're doing right now, we're trailblazing, because this has never been done before, you know? So, but what happened is now that we're spread out, okay, there's no protection, okay? You're isolated. It's you over here and you over here and you over here and you over here. And we see that in the statistics, because in this, when you look at the disparities, the school to prison pipeline is a great example of that. Because when you have blacks who live out in diverse communities, a lot of times it's our children that are penalized more severely than the other groups. So that is the reason for this showing tonight. There's a lot of people who feel like it can't be done. They feel like this situation is so bad that it can't be done. Oh, well, you know how black people can be. You know how they, you know, they might, oh, I don't know if they'll come together. Okay, but what we have to understand is that there's infighting in every group. Mm-hmm. You know, that those other groups are not perfect. They have their own foibles just like we do. The only thing is you keep going until you find that one that you can partner with, or you keep looking until you find that black business that is dependable. Okay, we cannot give up on our people. Because when we give up on our people, we give up on ourselves, okay? And so, the resurrection of Black Wall Street, we want to show this film because we want to let people know that this is not pie in the sky. This is not a dream that we just pulled out of some hat, This is real, okay? These people were 50 years out of slavery, and this is what they built, okay? So once we're done with this, we want to use this as a call to action. There's a call to action sign-up sheet. When we're done with everything, please, if you have a commitment in your heart and you want to be committed to a mission such as this, please sign your name to the list.
Initial thought about the film?
Well, I would have to first say I'm really glad to be here, and it was inspiring to me as an African American female who all of my life I've known that it was something for me to do, but being a child who did not experience integration into within our schools until I was like, I want to say 6th grade. And so I benefited from segregated schools. The person I am today is because of African American leaders like those depicted in this movie. And so being able to see that and being reminded of that rich history that I experienced as a child, and then thinking that, fast forward into my life as an educator and as one of the people that has gone through the K-12 environment for 22 years, and how it can blind and brainwash you into thinking that this is how it's supposed to be. And so I was just moved, I was inspired, I was taken back to things that I originally thought as a child growing up, and things that drove me into becoming an educator, having that burning desire to make a difference with people in my community, people who are most vulnerable, people that have been forgotten. That was just an awesome reminder. And I am encouraged to work harder despite the adversity. I know what it's like, to be locked out and shut down, but we have to stay committed to the cause. And so that's what I think.
One of the things I always tell them, I grew up in Philadelphia, in the inner city. One of the things I always share with them is that the time is different. My orthodontist was black, my dentist, my aunt who owned the corner store, the person who did our laundromat, our mortician. Those were the people that the community I grew up in. That was where I got our groceries, our medical, anything and everything that I could think of that I needed and used all came from our community. And one of the things that I'm constantly telling my kids is that we have to be so mindful of what we do and what we're saying. Because inside of the school system, we're allowing our children to hear lies. We're not a melting pot. Racism is not over. Just because we have a black president does not mean there is no longer racism. And that as long as we allow our children to hear this and we don't teach them in the home, which I love this video, this documentary, and teaching them in the home so that they're prepared when they set foot into a classroom, if they are in a classroom where they are one of two African American children, if they are only a handful, that they can hear a teacher tell them something or anyone tell them something and know that it's erroneous, that there's something more, and to ask questions, and if you're not sure, to come home and discuss it. And so what am I saying? This documentary, which I think should be shown in every school and church and other venues, but that as people, we need to start teaching our children more at home. We have to go back to those roots of where they heard grandma, they heard other people that can give them a history that they're not going to read in a history book right now. And so I thank you for the information that you gave, and hope that, again, this documentary and what you're doing continues.
Thank you. I was hoping you would say that.
Very interesting to me, because when we walked out of our car and we were talking, and she said she had this idea. She told me this morning she had this idea, and the idea that we need to go into wherever, churches, everywhere, to begin to educate young black men. And so much of this video can be used in the education of young black men. And when I look at all of this, as I've always said, I'll use the word that we've been duped in this country. You see, because nobody's telling you. When they went to Africa, they took the best. They took the most educated out of Africa. And these are your descendants. But nobody's telling you that. They left the weak and the infirm and whatever. They left them in Africa. Nobody told you. And so now, in the work that I do, I'm telling you, and I'm telling you that we've been bamboozled in this country, and I'm very well aware of how we've been bamboozled in this country. But the question is, and what you asked for in the very beginning of the film, you said, you talked about Missouri City. Here we are in Missouri City. And you even gave the stats of how many people of African descent occupy Missouri City. And you asked the question, and this is what we want to answer to. I don't live in Missouri City. Can what happened in Greenwood in 1921 also happen here? And maybe it won't be bombs from airplanes this time, but you see, they have slick and sophisticated ways of destroying you. They don't need to set to build your Missouri City on fire. So that's what I want to hear about.
Hi, thank you so much. I really enjoyed watching the movie and being exposed to such a remarkable perspective, and I think that some of the things that I found really empowering about the movie were being able to hear about having been descended from kings and queens and the importance of self-worth, and how you find that in a society that tends to tell you not to appreciate yourself because you're a minority. And I was also floored by the differences that you have in economic inequity today, and seeing those statistics and how that's emerged, and I just found it really powerful. I guess one question that the movie dredged up for me was whether it's possible to have cross-cultural collectivism, and whether it's possible to have integration without oppression. Because I know that for me, I've derived a lot of benefits having been in cross-cultural environments and being exposed to different cultures and being able to make friends, diverse friends. And I think that in some ways, you lose a lot of worth by being told consistently by society that you aren't beautiful and that you aren't important and that you don't belong. But I think at the same time, if you completely separate yourself from other cultures, it becomes impossible to kind of extend the idea of oneself to multiple groups and to see yourself in others who don't exactly look like you. So I think that finding that avenue is something that I think is really important, and that I look forward to seeing Missouri City do as we hope to resurrect Black Wall Street. Thank you so much.
Okay, you know, I wanted to address the last young lady that stood up and she was talking about, what did you say, cross-cultural
Collectivism.
The one thing that I can just share in my studies that I have found is that a lot of the problems that Black kids are having now in schools is cultural, because so a big part is culture, and because education is not culturally relevant for our kids, that's a big problem of why our students are not doing well at all. I mean, there's something called the achievement gap. You guys can Google it. It is a serious problem that's been going on for some time now. So that's one of the reasons. But in short, I just want to say that we want to keep this movement on track. So we want to meet here within the next 2 weeks. So hopefully, if you want to be a part of this movement, please sign the card.
So, Ms. Lynette, thank you for having us today. So, what inspired you to show Resurrecting Black Wall Street?
Our community to be informed. I want our community to be informed. In the city, like I said in the beginning, I raise my kids out here, I have my business out here, and I want to see us come together collectively to just look at ourselves and our community. So that's one reason why I want to do it.
Do you plan to reach out to the Caribbean community or maybe the Africans?
Yes.
Possibly? Okay.
We have a Caribbean owner right down the street. So I reached out to her already. She's already part of the case. She can make it tonight. She have a restaurant.
Okay.
So yes, we're going to be reaching out to more of the Caribbean people, more of the African people, and we collectively come together to get this movement going.
Now, you guys have a 501c4.
Yes.
Now, explain to us, what is a 501c4? We used to C3s. What is a C4?
It's like a political organization. We don't go behind the camera, we go behind the issue. So if they have an issue that is comparative to what we're standing for,
So you guys are a political action committee. That's correct. Okay.
The current incumbent is Sheila Jackson Lane.
What's some of the issues that you stand on or stand for that differentiates you from Sheila Jackson Lee?
Well, first and foremost, for me, it's completely about helping others. I have no self-interest and no self-gain in this. What I would like for people to understand is it doesn't matter, even though it's a federal seat and a national seat, all government is local. And so I need to come, my concentration is on what we need to do in Congressional District 18 to get people from a point of just surviving day to day to a point where they're actually thriving. I'm very, very well versed in the criminal justice system, the education system, mental health, and also in homelessness. And all of those things are, you know, I have 3 children that have serious mental illnesses. So I've had to advocate and deal with all of that. I myself have been at the point where I know what it is to be hungry. I know what it is to not know where you're going to lay your head tomorrow. And although my path may not be your path, there is a path out of that deep, dark hole, that bottom run to the top, because I've done it. So I know it can be done.
So how do you feel about 504 plans in the school system now, and the way they've been applied, and the funds that's appropriated to the child not being applied to the child's education?
Well, here's the thing. This is what I found, and this has been a 25-year journey for me, and it's a very unique journey, is a 504 is almost easily given. That's not the difficult part. It's not getting a 504. You can get a 504 all day long. What you cannot get is an IEP, which is an individual education plan. And that breaks down into you literally have to have a medical reason to give that child to teach them exactly how they learn if they do not learn in a cookie cutter fashion. So what I have done is I've gone into the schools and I've used, in my particular situation, I've been able to use the Individuals with Disabilities Act because I truly believe that it shouldn't be hard to get an IEP. That should just be given because every child is an individual. So shouldn't there just be individual education plans? So I'll use my daughter as an example. My daughter is in 10th grade. She just finished the 10th grade and she's going to be a junior next year. This year she went into they had to provide her with a tutor who came to our home 2 days a week for 2 hours. Then they allow her to do 3 classes online. Why? Because she cannot learn in the confines of a classroom. Her mind wanders, but she also, because of her mental illness, cannot learn in the confines of the classroom. So they finally told me, for the end of the school year, they had to put her on complete homebound. But they did not. They fought me from the very beginning and said, I don't know what we do. I don't know how we're going to do it. She has to come to school. We can't give her a full schedule on homebound. And I said, she's entitled to one. Because her doctors and her physicians specifically said she cannot learn in a classroom. And that has to be recognized. But you have to fight every step of the way.
So let me understand this. So is an individual education plan a substitute for medicating a child and giving them medicine? It's not, okay.
It is not. An individual education plan means if you have one child that has autism,
yes,
or one child who has dyslexia, you have to provide a teacher and a curriculum specifically for that child, even if there's only one. But most parents don't know that if your child has a learning disability, the school system is obligated to provide a free and equal education for your child in the way that they learn. And that's what an individual education plan is, and that's why they're very, very difficult to get.
Okay. Okay. What?
You're very welcome.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hey you guys, we are here with Cat Nation. This is the Animal Nation with Case, and we were doing Resurrecting in Black History. We have a lot more
Several of the young women here tonight attended a workshop that we gave for CASA. And in fact, that's how I am on the mailing list, because of them attending the workshop. I'm the executive director of the Center for the Healing of Racism. And I am a true believer, that in order for us to be able to achieve anything, and like the song goes, we have to first free our mind. And so, what does it matter that we can go anywhere, just like in the video, and be in all these spaces when our mind is still locked up? So what is that song? Free your mind and your A will follow. And that's what I, use all the time, because I think that's the thing that we are still changing. Our minds are still held in chains, and without that, we can never reconstruct Wall Street. We never can, like Wall Street, until we free our minds.
Question, ma'am. So you're from the Center for Healing Racism?
Yes. Yes, I am. This organization has been in existence for 27 years. Before you can talk about freeing your mind, you have to also be able to heal from all of the hurt and the trauma that was done to us around racism. You have to be able to look at that. Another thing too, to be able to talk about it, to be able to put it out there. Because too many of us, we live in silence. We don't talk about anything that's meaningful.
How do you address white supremacy?
I say straight up the way it is. I call it and I name it the way that it is. And how this country was built on white supremacy, as well as racism in this country, systemic as well as structural. And to be able to look at that. And in fact, I'm about to start doing a workshop, White Privilege on Trial, because we want to look at up close and personal this white privilege that people within this country, regardless of how hard they work, regardless of how good the education is, they also got something else in this country because of the color of their skin, or the lack of color of their skin.
Thank you.
Well, that is a wrap, guys. We had an amazing time. This movie is a blessing to our culture. We need to go and seek it out. Once again, it's Resurrection of Black Wall Street. Lynette Wright is coming to live. It's a location. Cat Nation. Signing out. Love you guys.